Oh no, that's
Is there a bumper to bumper?
Just go ahead and save tape until the actual
This may
More pictures. Okay.
You forget it on the
Oh, yeah, that's a good place for me.
Everybody, I'm sorry. You like it. Give it over to Haitian Congress. Yeah, great. I remember I saw you. Oh, really? Okay.
Hi, I'm Jeff George. Nice to meet you, Kristen.
Yes. Okay.
You ready to start here? Hey, how's it going, sir? Oh, okay. Well, Saturday, hopefully the traffic's not too bad.
I hope that's what they said. Friday.
Oh, yeah?
Taking advantage of that.
It's interesting going out on events now. It's like you go out and you're like, okay, how many people actually voted? And like 3/4 of the people in the room raise their hand. That whole early voting thing has changed the dynamic of the race so much this year. I like the idea that more people can actually get out there and vote, but I wish we could like actually have like a definitive date, because it just feels like we're kind of
We'd like to start our event now, our forum discussion. If I can have you come as close to the front as possible. Refreshments will be there, so please help yourself throughout the forum. I was just instructed to move to the podium. Bienvenidos. I would like to welcome all of you today to Hodges University. It is Saturday, and we appreciate you.
Is it Saturday?
Is everyone awake? We understand that all of you are limited in time, so we really appreciate you coming out today. My name is Carmen Rey Gomez, and I'm the new director of the Hispanic Institute here at Hodges University. Over a year ago, Hodges University, along with several community leaders, discussed the need for creating an institute whose focus would be the issues that affect the diverse Hispanic population. They discussed the importance of researching these issues, creating a clearinghouse for information regarding the Hispanic community in Lee and Collier County, and in providing a forum for public policy matters to promote a better understanding of the political process and how that impacts the Hispanic community. As a continuation of the Agenda Hispana September 13th meeting, the Hispanic Institute, in partnership with the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board, the News Press, and the Nation Association, felt it was very important to explore the issues of voting in the Hispanic community. We know by the recent census that Hispanics are now the largest ethnic minority group in the nation. The Pew Hispanic Center reports that Florida's Hispanic population is the third largest, and that 9% of all U.S. Hispanic eligible voters live in Florida. In Lee County, they account for 16.1% of the population, and in Collier, the number is much larger at 25.5%. Yet, according to the election statistics for the Lee County primaries in January 2008, only 2.3% of the 11,606 Hispanic registered voters voted. The purpose of our meeting today is then to explore some of the reasons why, historically, the voter turnout among Hispanics have been consistently low. We will hear from our panelists who will share what they think are contributing factors from their experiences with the community and the voting process. But before I introduce them, I would like to ask David Plazas, the News Press Community Conversation Editor, to please come forward to provide you some additional information that will help frame today's forum.
Thank you very much. I'm David Plazas with the News Press. I want to thank you very much, all of you, for being here today on this Saturday morning. The Hispanic voting population in Lee County has skyrocketed by 67% since the 2004 general election, from 12,119 registered voters then to 20,230 in the 2008 election. It's remarkable, but perhaps as expected, given that according to the U.S. Census in 2006, the Fort Myers-Cape Coral's Hispanic population grew at a faster percentage rate than any other community in the nation. Why is this important? It means that there are more people of Hispanic descent doing their civic duty, opting to be part of the overall community. The challenge is in getting these voters out to the poll, and it's certainly a challenge in any group, and I agree with Election Supervisor Sharon Harrington, who enjoys shaming people into exercising their right. I agree, it's a good tactic. We need to do more of that. 4 years ago, Reverend Israel Suarez of the Nations Association, who was unable to be here because of an emergency, formed the group Corriendo Tras el Voto, or Running After the Vote. It's an initiative to register 4,000 new Hispanic voters by the 2008 election. By the numbers I mentioned, whether it was as a direct or indirect result of this initiative, we succeeded. A couple of numbers of interest. According to the Pew Hispanic Center, Hispanic Democrats now outnumber Hispanic Republicans in Florida. It was just the opposite 2 years ago. Yet, according to a report from the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, 38% of Florida Hispanic voters favor John McCain, while 35% prefer Barack Obama. Nationwide, according to the Gallup organization polls, Hispanics favored Obama by 61% to 29% for McCain. Florida indeed could be a swing state for one candidate or another. We saw in the 2000 election that 537 votes made a difference, and in the 2006 legislative primary race, 35 votes made a difference. Every single vote counts. The top issues for Hispanics in Florida, according to a poll released last month by the firm Latino Decisions, in partnership with Stanford University and Pacific Market Research, were 1. Jobs in the economy, 2. The war in Iraq, 3. Healthcare, 4. Immigration reform, and 5. Education. So you see many of the issues are the same as the overall population. So why are we here today? The purpose is to share with you the data and anecdotal experiences regarding Latino voting trends and telling you how civic groups, candidates, elected officials, and community groups can better reach this demographic. Before I turn it back to Carmen, I just wanted to thank especially the elected officials and candidates who came here to join us. And I wanted to just very quickly recognize Commissioner Ray Judah from the County Commission, from the school board, from the school board, Eleanor Skrika and Bob Chilmani. From the hospital board, Marilyn Stout and Linda Brown. And we also have candidates for several offices. Dr. Stephen Brown for the hospital board. Ms. Cunningham and Ms. Carla Johnston for County Commission. Mr. Judge George for Congress. Mr. Christian Meister for Lee County Sheriff. And the Latino Officers Association of Florida, represented here by Lieutenant Robert Forrest, who's also a member of this council. We want to thank you very much, and I'll bring Carmen back up here to talk about the bios of the panelists. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce our panelists, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who don't know where the restrooms are, the men's restroom is in the end of this aisle, and the women's restroom is around the corner. We are going to have a panel format, and each of our panelists will have 10 minutes to share their perspective as it relates to Hispanic voting trends in Southwest Florida. After their presentations, there will be a period of questions and answers from the audience that will be moderated by Luis Rivera, Chairman of the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board. As you can see on your tables, there are 3x5 cards. Please use those to write down any questions you may have for the panelists so that Luis can read them and we can have our discussion. And hopefully we're a little bit behind schedule, but we will be concluding with a public showing of the PBS Latinos 2008 documentary that was shown, I believe, about a week and a half ago. Okay. Our first panelist is Sharon Harrington, the Supervisor of Elections. Sharon was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and moved to Fort Myers in 1975. She attended Cuyahoga Community College. What's that? Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland and Edison Community College in Fort Myers, majoring in accounting and business administration. Prior to her employment with the Lee County Supervisor of Elections Office, she spent 24 years in management positions for a variety of businesses both in Ohio and in Florida. She began her employment with the Supervisor of Elections on April 3rd in 1989 as Fiscal Office Human Resource Director, and for the past 15 years worked very closely with Belinda Young, recently retired supervisor. She has worked in all the departments of the Elections Office and was part of the transition team that worked on the countywide conversion to the new touchscreen voting system in 2008. She was promoted to Assistant Supervisor, Finance HR in December of 2002. Sharon was appointed to fulfill the unexpired term of Belinda Young by Governor Jeb Bush on January 20th, 2004, and took office on February 16, 2004. Sharon is a member of the Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, where she served as chairman for 10 years, life member and Kiwanis Lady of Kiwanis International, currently a member of the Kiwanis Club of Fort Myers South, Fort Myers Women's Community Club, and Edison Pageant of Lamplighters. She was elected to Who's Who Worldwide for Business and Professional Leaders and was awarded the ABWA Women of the Year Award. Sharon is an active member of the St. Michael Lutheran Church, where she serves as an usher and is a member of the Altar Guild. We present to you Ms. Sharon Harrington.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Certainly is a pleasure to be here, because if I wasn't, I'd be standing on my feet counting absentee ballots right now. So, and thank you, Sarah, for making wearing glasses fashionable again. I certainly appreciate that. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here. I'm looking forward to answering any questions that you may have. But I did want to talk a little bit about where we are and where we've been, where we'd like to go as far as the Hispanic community is concerned. As of yesterday, we received over 89,861 requests for ballots by mail. This is a monumental election. In 2004, which we also thought was going to be a very popular election, we only received 52,000 requests, so we are well ahead of what we had earlier. As of yesterday, when I left, we had checked in about 70,000 of those. So we have a little roughly about 20,000 ballots still out there ready to come in to be counted. As of 5 p.m. yesterday, 55,455 people early voted. We still had about 2 hours to go last night, and of course we have a 12-hour day today to complete our early voting cycle. They're blowing all my predictions totally out of the water. I said I thought we would have between 35 and 40,000 early voters and roughly about 50 or 60,000 absentee ballots. So you can see where I was way off base on that one, but I'm glad to see it. One of the things that has concerned us for many years was the low amount of registrations and participation by the Hispanic community. So we have worked, our office has worked, at least since I've been with the office in 2004, very, very closely with the Hispanic Chamber. We've worked with the Hispanic Advisory Council for the County Commission. We have been at every single event that we could possibly be at to encourage people of the Hispanic community to get registered, but not only get registered, but get out there and vote. We have about 20,230 Hispanic registered voters right now. And when you stop and think that between our active and our inactive registered voters, we have about we closed the books with about 319,000 active registered voters for this election and about 78,000 inactive people, which means they're still eligible. They haven't voted in a while, but they can certainly still vote. That's almost 400,000 people. And 20,000 is an extremely low percentage when you stop and think of the actual population. I think being able to provide ballots in Spanish, being able to provide all of our written materials in Spanish has been a big help for those who may speak the language but may not read it quite as well. We have a Spanish translator in every one of our offices now. Our employees have Spanish training, so we are really trying to reach out to the community. But one of the questions that I have is why aren't more of the Hispanic people registering? What is holding them back? Those that are registered, why are they not voting? Is it maybe because they don't have candidates of a Hispanic nature to vote on? Is it education? What we need to find out from the community is where we need to focus our attention on. What is it? We do have the materials. We do have these Spanish translators at the offices. Many of our poll workers on election day are also Hispanic and can speak Spanish. So what is it that's keeping these people back? I'm going to be looking to the Institute here at Hodges, again, the Hispanic Chamber, and also the Advisory Council to give our office some guidance. What is it that we could possibly do to start sparking some additional interest? Also, it's not just Hispanics. You know, it's the general population. One of the things the media asked me this week was, why do I think so many people have come out and shown such an interest in this election? Well, my answer to that is when you have candidates that are exciting or controversial, if you have issues that are exciting and controversial, it has a tendency to draw people out of their chairs and get them to the polling locations. This era that we are going through right now has those issues. They have exciting and controversial candidates. They have exciting and controversial issues. And it goes across the board, and it's hitting everyone, regardless of what your status in life happens to be. It is touching our poor people. It is certainly touching our wealthy people. Everybody is involved. The economy, the war, jobs, everyone is being affected. So it's bringing everybody out. And I think maybe that's what we need to do, is we have to get enough interest out there to get these people off the couch. David kind of made a comment, and what he was talking about, if you didn't get a chance to read it, on your sample ballot, normally when I send those little letters out, I say, hi, thank you for voting, you know, if you have any questions, here we are. I didn't do that this year. I was a little tougher. I said, if you don't want to be part of turning the page in history, fine, and stay home. But then don't complain for the next 4 years about where your country is going. You need to get off the couch. You need to make sure that your opinion is known and that your choice has been cast. And of course, if it's cast, we're going to count it. A lot of people were very afraid of the long lines, and I always had a comment for that one too. I said people will wait at Disney World for an hour and a half for a 4-minute ride. They won't wait 15 minutes for a ride that's going to last 4 years. So anyone that didn't want to have to wait in line had an opportunity to go ahead and get a ballot mailed to them. They didn't have to wait in line. But it is a ride that's going to last at least 4 years. And it's an important ride. So there is that importance there. So I'm going to be looking forward to questions from all of you on what else we can do. I'm looking for suggestions of what my office can do, and I'm looking forward, especially to working with the Hispanic Institute and again with the Chamber and the Advisory Board to see what we can do to help get these people registered and then get them off the couch. Thank you.
For that information. Our next panelist is Miguel Fernandez. Mr. Fernandez was born in Cuba and came to the United States with his family association in 2005, as well as the former chairman of the Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board. Let's welcome Miguel Fernandez.
Buenos dias. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe that this is an honor and a privilege to be before you here today. I do want to stress how much Hodges University and how much the Hispanic Institute here is leading the way in our community to educate Hispanics, educate individuals who are interested in making an impact in the Hispanic community and in our greater community. It's amazing to me that within a short period of time they have risen to the top. They are the leaders in this community for helping getting out the message on a variety of issues that affect our community. And I couldn't pass up the opportunity to thank them for what they're doing and what they're going to continue to do in the future. My perspective here today is to give you the perspective of a candidate. And obviously I can talk about a lot of things, but I'm going to try to stick to that. When I thought about running for judicial office, and for many of you that don't know, judicial office are nonpartisan, so we don't have to deal with, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And that's the way it should be. It still was a very daunting and very challenging task. I looked at some of the history of Hispanic leaders in our community. Some were good, some were not so good. But it's no different than the non-Hispanic political leaders. Some were good and some are not so good. And I thought, well, how am I going to pull this off? Because I knew some of the statistics. They were staring at me in the face. And they were pretty discouraging. And I had to look at it as a candidate and say, gosh, if only 4, 5%, 6% on average of my own community is going to vote, then how am I going to really have a fighting chance? And the only way to do that from the candidate's perspective was I felt, even though I had a good practice, a good involvement in the Bar Association, a good reputation overall, I felt, money is so important, particularly in the race that I was in. Because the race that I was in was going to cover 5 counties. It wasn't just Fort Myers. It wasn't just North Lee County. It was Lee County, Glades County, Hendrick County, Charlotte County, and Collier County. And I had to get the message out to all of them. And so it was a challenging decision to make, but it was one that I felt was in line with my goals in life. And I felt that, had I been in Cuba, had you been in Cuba, it'd be easy to vote. You know why their percentage numbers are so great? 90s, if not high 90s? Because you get a ballot and everybody's on the same party. There's only one candidate, so it's easy to vote. And if you don't vote, they come to your house and say, fill this out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank God this is not Cuba. Seriously, thank God this is not Cuba. Thank God that we live in a country that allows us to vote and speak our mind. As I was coming here today from my house in Cape Coral, I took the Midpoint Bridge, and I guess I must have been on Cuban time because I didn't get here on time as I had anticipated. But as I went across that bridge, I saw the War Memorial. The one that sits there and is a tribute to the men and women of our armed forces that have stood in the line of fire, have volunteered to be in that position that they hold today, in harm's way, so that we can enjoy these forums, so that we can enjoy this process, so we call it democratic process in the United States. And we don't give enough credit to those people. Seriously. We come from different backgrounds, but we have to understand, we have to appreciate, we have to acknowledge those men and women in the armed forces that allow us to do and have what we have here today. Because without them, we wouldn't have it. So that's my spiel on that, but seriously, there's not a day that goes by, particularly in the political process, that I thank them and that I keep them in my prayers. And I would ask you to do the same. Going back to my candidacy, I realized it was a real difficult thing to do, but I had to do it, and I wanted to do it. And I was not going to have any regrets in life. But what it took for me was not only as a judicial candidate, but as a Hispanic candidate, was it took that I had to really move it up a notch. I knew that I was going to have to fund a great deal of my campaign. And I don't mind telling you, I spent $175,000 of my own money. That's a lot of money. I'm still paying it all. But that's okay. The reason I share that with you is because you have to realize that the candidates, whether they're Hispanic or not, are making a great deal of an investment in their candidacy. If they're not, then there's something wrong. Seriously. I don't subscribe to the old school that says, let somebody else fund your race. No. Help to fund your own race. Guess what? I respect you more as a voter if I know that you're funding some of your own campaign. And as Latinos, as a Latino candidate, you're going to find it. You're going to have to do that. To expect others to do it is to expect failure. Now, I did experience failure, but it's not permanent. I believe that one day I will aspire and I will get to the position that I like to hold, if God wills. But I will tell you that the difficulty was that I had to, put up that money, and I had to convince other people to put up money too. And I'm proud to say that I raised a lot of money from lawyers, non-lawyers, people that never had contributed money to campaigns before. Because what I did in my own small way, I inspired a lot of people who never had voted before. And somebody told me, "Aren't you proud?" I said, "Well, proud of what?" They said, "Well, you've inspired a lot of people." And I said, "Well, how?" Early on in the campaign. They said, "Because you've given people a reason to vote. People that have never really felt they had a reason to vote. You've given them a reason to vote." And I said, "That's great." But I hope that my legacy was going to be more than that. And that is, that I just don't give them a reason to vote this time, that I give them an inspiration to vote this time, next time, the following time. Because although the crowd here is not the ideal crowd, no disrespect to you, you're the choir. I'm preaching to the choir here. The candidates, the folks that are in the process, the media. But where are the voters? Where are the groups? Where are they here? This is discouraging to a degree. But I'm going to use it to the other extent, because I believe that when one door closes, there might be another door that opens. And that is to you candidates and to you holding office. The demographics have changed. They're going to continue to change. You must pay attention. And particularly to you lesser known candidates that are out there. I'm talking to you. You can win. All it takes is courting a sizable group within our community to vote. But you've got to be willing to do that. You've got to be willing to go into the neighborhoods, go into the communities, and reach out to them. Because I believe that if you do reach out to them, that they will respond. But you've got to give them a reason. Like I did to vote, you got to give them a reason to hand out flyers. You got to give them a reason to put that yard sign. You got to give them a reason to read your literature. You got to give them a reason to contribute to your campaign, and they will do it. They will do it, candidates. But you've got to open up to them. You got to speak a little bit of their lingo. You got to understand where they're coming from. You got to understand where their concerns are. And when you do that, candidates, potential candidates, office holders, you will not only get their respect, but you will get them. You'll get their families to vote for you. Believe in that. It's going to happen. And I will tell you that if I had my way, I would encourage, most of all, Hispanic women to vote. Why? Because I realized in my own election that the power of the female vote was tremendous. And I applaud them. They deserve everything that they got, and they deserve the results that they got because they put the effort into it. For too long, women have been written off as not participatory. They are participatory. And I applaud them. And I would target Hispanic women. You know why? Because men, whether you're Hispanic or not, will say, hey, I'm going to vote for this guy. Women will get on the phone, hey, I'm voting for this one. Tell my, our little small group, tell your little group that shops or Galo Club. They do it, and good for them. Good for them. The only thing that I would say to the female vote is don't vote just on gender. It's wrong. It's just as wrong as voting for just the Hispanic candidate because you're Hispanic, or the African American candidate, or the African American candidate because they're African American. It's wrong. It demeans your vote. I say this to you in all candor because I know you understand where I'm coming from. Vote because you like the candidate and what they stand for. I'll end on this. There was a gentleman. We had a website. We wanted to be, wanted to be 21st century. We had a website. And this gentleman wrote to me a message. He wanted to know more information, but he wanted to know where I stood on immigration. And I told him, I said, sir, I really, I'm not allowed to take a position on the issues because, although I don't anticipate a voting issue to come before me, I will follow the law, I will uphold the Constitution, I will support, I won't legislate from the bench. I said all the things that I believe in and are the right things to say, but he wanted my opinion. And I talked to my campaign manager about this person who had emailed, because he kept emailing me over and over and over again. And he tried to insist. And I said, let me just tell you where I'm coming from. And I told him a little bit more of my history. And for the first time he says, that's why I'm not voting for you. And I said to him, we began to have more conversation by way of email. And it took a series of 9 emails. And over the course of 9 emails, this gentleman came out to see me at a forum. Because he thought that I had just a certain view on things. And I told him about my family history. And I told him how I believe that you have to earn everything that you want in life. And I told him about, the struggles to be here and how I believed in the Constitution. And this person who began saying, you're just a typical Hispanic, became a supporter of my campaign. But that wouldn't have happened. And I did that against the wishes of my campaign manager or my campaign advisors. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the courage to continue in a dialogue with this person. Because he did matter. Maybe that wasn't going to win me the election. But in the end, it's more than just the election. It's the idea. It's the concept. It's the process. It's what we live for. And that is, judge me on who I am, not who you think I am. Thank you.